Hello, this is Jackie B. Peterson, author of Better, Smarter, Richer, 7 Business Principles for Solo and Creative Entrepreneurs. It's my mission to help solos, those of you in one-person businesses, understand and apply the 7 business principles to your enterprise so that you can find increased financial success. Solo businesses are not the same as traditional businesses, and these principles apply directly to one-person businesses, and they're things you must do if you want to find the financial success you're hoping for with your solo enterprise. So I hope you'll visit my website, www.bettersmarterricher.com. There you can download the free ebook, you can take a demo of my online study group, and you can sign up for our free newsletter and join the conversation. Also, of course, stay tuned to this weekly radio show, which is posted on www.soloproradio.com. To let you know, there's some upcoming events. We're just getting underway with a live study group at Portland Community College tomorrow, September 26th at 9 a.m. It's a great way to work the Better, Smarter, Richer book. And also you can find me at the Inspired Entrepreneurs Conference this coming Saturday, and our guest today is going to talk quite a bit about that, Marcia Bench. It'll be a great place to really focus your interests in money, marketing, motivation, and find new inspiration for what you're doing as a solo. So let me introduce our guest today. Marcia Bench is a #1 best-selling author, professional speaker, and business coach with more than 25 years' experience working with entrepreneurs and running her own business. Marcia is also the founder of Career Coach Institute, where she continues to actively teach and mentor career coaches, an industry she literally invented. In 2008, Marcia founded the Purposeful Entrepreneur Institute to help entrepreneurs and business leaders brand their offerings to reach their clients. And in 2013, she founded Your Divine Gifts to help entrepreneurs use business numerology and other tools to discover, activate, and monetize their divine gifts and talents. I would say with all of those businesses that Marcia has started, there's no doubt that this woman is an entrepreneur and instigator, and I look forward to talking with her today. Hello, Marcia.
Hi, Jackie. I love that word, instigator. It sounds like I'm making trouble or something.
Well, I always say that there's instigators and maintainers. You know, There's people who start things and get them going and get them, infuse them with the beginning energy and get them up and running. And then, there are people who are maintainers that can take all of those great ideas and carry them through and, create an ongoing business out of them. And I know most of us entrepreneurs are instigators, so
that's
nicely
right.
that I say that to you. It's a
Got
compliment. So, Marcia, tell our listeners about your journey. Where'd you grow up, go to school, and, what inspired you to leave your law practice? How'd you get into a law practice and begin writing and coaching? Talk to us about that.
Well, it certainly could be here for a while. I'll try to streamline it a bit for purposes of time because I know we have a lot we want to get into today. But I'm a native Oregonian and actually grew up on the property right adjacent to the Evergreen Aviation Museum. So that's where I spent the first 12 years of my life, and that was the point at which my parents announced that we were moving to Central Oregon, and they had bought a business there. So we all picked up and moved to Central Oregon around Christmas time when I was just starting, actually in the middle of my 6th grade year. And in a matter of less than a year later, my father passed away of cancer. So it kind of left things in a bit different formation as far as the family unit went. And I ended up sort of running the household and really starting to, as I look at it now, develop some of those entrepreneurial traits even early on. As my mom was trying to run this auto parts business in a small Central Oregon farming town, when she was being from the city, was way over her head. So that's kind of where it got started, and I think the entrepreneurial bug bit me, even though it was a difficult time, just because I could see the potential for freedom, for flexibility, for really kind of crafting your own path. And so that was, obviously a few years ago now. But I did go ahead and wind my way over 10 years through college and graduate school and got my law degree and began to practice. And just a matter of a few weeks after finishing law school and the bar exam, was awakened in the middle of the night with an idea for a book that I would write and a class that I would teach. And so I pitched that to the local community college and the professional development department. They said, sounds good to us. And so I began teaching one-day classes there once a term on various topics, which led fairly quickly to doing what you love for a living. And that was so popular and so well received, and it was so in line with what I was feeling as the job market and the whole lifetime career model was being shattered and the job market was changing. It was a fascinating time to really be getting into that area. So I began to do more and more work in that field, and ultimately I sold my law practice to my associate about 4 years later, and went on the road with my first book for 10 months called What 9 to 5 Isn't Enough. And so I did seminars all over the country and Canada and a lot of media and different things. And then, that kind of launched my career and just kind of kept up writing about one book every year since then to the 25 that I now have out. So That's the short version, I guess, of the story.
That's fantastic. Wow. So talk about writing 25 books, because writing is often very difficult for our listeners, and they struggle with it. And so how do you do so much writing? And, what happens? How do you manage that process?
Well, you know what? That question even is maybe not the way I think about it. I do structure the process, but I don't necessarily try to manage it. And words are important to me, so I pick up on their energy. So, in other words, I get inspired with an idea, something that I see that I want to explore further or that I want to put out in a new way, and then begin to flesh that out. And the way it was originally taught to me really was take from that initial thought, which might just be a single sentence, turn that into 5 pages, say more about what you really believe about that or what you feel strongly about regarding that or what you know is true or works for you in that area. And then that can very quickly become a book outline of anywhere from 10 to 20 chapters, let's say. And then I know especially in that first book, I just sat down with my outline on a very consistent basis, and I think that's the key to success. People can talk all life long about writing a book, but if you don't write that first paragraph, it's never going to happen, as you know from doing your own, Jackie. So
yes.
Just every day sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm going to write this article now. Basically, the first chapter is like an article, or the first section of the first chapter is like an article. And so just letting that flow through me and not worrying so much about typos and different things on that first run-through. And then just letting it come together, and it's an accumulative process. And over the course, I wrote that first book in about 6 months, I think. I've got it now down to where I can probably do it in about 6 weeks, assuming that it's something I've already been teaching and have some structure around in my mind. But it's a consistency, and at that time I was running 2 businesses, so time is not an excuse. I just made sure that 6 a.m. every morning I was at the computer writing for an hour before I went to my downtown office. And, it came together just in a very flowing way because I was willing to commit to that discipline.
Wow. I am totally impressed. Because it was a hard process for me, and I love that. I love the structure of it, that consistency is the key, that you were there at 6 o'clock in the morning, that you were, carrying on another job while you were doing it, and I'm impressed. I honor you. We know what you have done.
Well,
woo-woo.
Well, thank you. And there's the other part of it is that I didn't write every single day when I sat down for that time. After I had a few sections finished, if what felt like what I wanted to do that day was to do a little more research into a certain area, or to do some editing, or to do some reshuffling of things, the thing was I was working on that important project first thing every day, and the actual activities varied somewhat, but I knew that it was all weaving together into getting that finished product out there. And there even are times, and Wayne Dyer talks about this in some of his writings, he's definitely a role model of mine, where the flow stops. It's time to just go for a drive, go for a walk, and clear your head, receive some new inspiration, and then come back and do it some more. So it's very much of a learning process, learning to listen to your own creative flow and learning to let those words and concepts come through onto the screen.
Wow. That alone is inspiration to many people that I've talked to, including me, who are working on writing their books and your process. And I think the letting go, of going out for inspiration and then allowing that to come through you, where the inspiration comes in and goes out your hands on the keyboard and, and you're thinking, wow, this is just fabulous. This is total creativity, and I'm just tuned into the flow and the channel of it. So I say I salute you. So are all these books now, they're still on your website, and they're products that you offer and teach from and offer to your clients?
Most of them are, yeah. Probably 20 of them are still out and in print, and a few of them are, you got to look in the deep reaches of the back shelves of Amazon, but you can find copies of Thriving in Transition and When 9 to 5 Isn't Enough, which were some of the more widely circulated earlier books. But Hay House kept it in print, the 9 to 5 book, for 12 years, and there's still like secondhand copies around.
That's fantastic. So, yeah. That's fantastic. And then, you talk about you went out on a road trip and, and did all these talks and all that, and talk a little bit about that, because that's also high energy and determination that you have. So
right.
How did that work?
Well, that, of course, was a learning process. When I left, I had 10 talks booked for the whole year. So it wasn't like, and this is an approach that I teach, actually, and have done throughout my career. It wasn't like I had everything planned in advance. That wouldn't have left any room for synchronicity. Wouldn't have left any room for those happy circumstances to come together, which did. And I got to share the stage with Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer towards the end of that trip. So it was really quite an amazing journey. But the process that I teach is called Ready, Fire, Aim. There wasn't a book by that title when I first learned the concept. There is now, and it's thick, and but boiling it down is that rather than whether you're preparing a program, selling something to your list, or marketing something to your community, or writing a book or recording an information product, outline it and kind of sell the sizzle, knowing that you're going to deliver the steak, but you're not going to go ahead and cook the steak until you know there's somebody that wants to eat it. So it saves the energy of having to actually do all that work and spend all that money up front and then find out there's no market for it. That worked in the past. And you very often find out there was no market for it. People did focus groups and different things. But it's the matter of following the guidance that you have and trusting that what you're being led to offer is what people are looking for. You may need to adjust where you're actually in the audience you're actually addressing with it. But I just kept getting out there, getting referrals from some of the engagements that I did. They started, the different leaders of the organizations where I was speaking started talking to each other and knowing that I was heading their direction. From west to east in the United States were getting in touch with me and wanting to book me when I was there. And so eventually it ended up being 65 seminars and appointments and conference talks all told over that 10-month period. But if I hadn't been willing to step out in faith and just go with the 10 in place, knowing I had the books, I had a message I wanted to share, and it had a pivotal moment coming back from a vacation where I was sitting in my office and waiting for a check to come that wasn't in the mail. It's like it wouldn't be any scarier to be out on the road sharing the message and taking it to the people than sitting here and waiting to be paid on something that I've already done. So that was the moment I really decided to do it, and really haven't looked back since. And so the message for the listeners, I guess, is just to, if you have something in mind that you would like to create, use the consistency we talked about earlier, commit to spending an hour a day thinking about that project, talking to someone about it that might be an expert you could resource, developing an exercise that you could do with your audience, whatever it might be, and then step forth in whatever the next opening and opportunity is. If it's speaking at the local Kiwanis Club, if it's getting together a group of 6 of your friends and just kind of going through it in your living room, so that they get a flow of what this program might be like, and they can give you feedback. Take that step, and then keep stepping into the yes. Barbara Scher talks about how success, no matter how long you've waited for it, always finds you before you're ready. So if you're out there shaking it up and doing things, the opportunities will come. One of my colleagues, in her first, I think, 90 days or 6 months of restructuring and rebranding her business to what really was her purpose, got an opportunity to go to, it wasn't Singapore, but it was an Asian location, and speak to 2,500 people. She hadn't even been doing speaking, but she said yes because she knew that was being dropped in her lap now that she had said yes to her calling. So you never know what form that might take. It might be a publishing contract. It might be a speaking opportunity. It might be a joint venture alliance. But keep saying yes and keep stepping into it, and it'll amaze and surprise you where it takes you.
That's fabulous. That's really fabulous. I interviewed earlier this year a life coach named Don Rockland, who said what you're saying in a different way, and I just love it as well. He said, money loves a party. What you do is, as you say, step into yes, shake it up, and money shows up. I tell people this all the time. You can't chase the money. You have to allow the money to come to you, and that's what you're talking about. Step it up and, say yes. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the Career Coach Institute, starting that and what happened. You built something really fantastic with that.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm feel blessed that opportunity came through me. I was, as I began doing those seminars at the community college, people started seeking me out for individual help to apply, what they've been learning in their class sessions. And so I later learned that was called consulting, and hired the leading consultants that I knew in the area to help me with forming that business. And so I did a fair amount of speaking and career consulting and continued to do writing. And but I still felt like there was something missing. And there came a point when I actually was offered an opportunity to help with 2 different offices starting up a career development staff in 2 different states for a company. And so I did that. And the dynamics of the position were great, but the company itself required me to be in the office every day, even though I was doing a lot of writing and virtual work that I know I could have been doing from a home base, and I preferred to do from a home base. So and my husband was retiring at the time, so I needed to find something else to do that would allow me more flexibility and not to be tied to a physical office. And so one day I was opening my mail in my office in San Diego, and there was this flyer about something called coaching, which I'd never heard of. It had been going on for about 10 years by then. It just had escaped me for whatever reason. So I couldn't attend the presentation at this particular organization that was happening, but I took the program coordinator to breakfast a matter of a week later and to find out more about it. And she explained it to me, and she said, I just enrolled in a coach training program, and I think they got 1 spot left. But, this is Friday. We're talking Monday's when the classes start. So you can check it out. Maybe there'd be an opportunity for you to get in this class. I said, oh, boy, that's pretty fast. But let me just check it out and see, because it just was really resonating with me, the whole idea of holding the space for clients and asking questions instead of giving answers and all of the things that comprise the coaching methodology. So I talked to the program director, took a big deep breath, and plucked down my credit card and got into that program thinking, well, I got 15 years in the business. I was doing consulting. I've got maybe 8 books out by that time. I'll probably be a little ahead of everybody else, but I'm sure I'll learn a few things. Boy, was I wrong. I was a beginner just like all the other people who had advanced degrees that were in that program. As it turned out, there were a lot of highly educated people that were drawn to this particular program. And we just had a great time for both the 6 months of the basic teleclass training as well as the master level that I took after that. And so as I was getting towards graduation and thinking about what do I want to do with this now, and how do I want to use it in a way that I can take the show on the road when my husband retires, not to speak necessarily, but just we wanted to travel the country for a year, and we did. And so there were no career coaching schools at the time. The program I took was a business coaching training. And so we were driving home from Thanksgiving across the desert of Arizona back to Lake Havasu, where we lived at the time. And it just hit me as I was preparing for a teleclass presentation that I needed to do for a certification I was taking. Just combine the career development background with coaching and offer people a course on how to do that. 45 days later, we were up and running with a very primitive website and enrolling our first students. Those first students became instructors after a couple of years in the program, and it ended up expanding to close to a $500,000 business in 40 countries, and continues to
holy moly,
that program today in its various iterations. I just revised the textbook for the third time, and the third edition came out in June, called Career Coaching and Insider's Guide. And teleclasses were fairly new at that time. This was 2001. They're kind of old hat now for us, but it was so groundbreaking to have a convenient way of learning. I was back and forth to another state every other week with my job, and was able to call in from my hotel room, which was just revolutionary. And so we continue to offer a primarily virtual format. Now we've added the webinar idea to it so that people also have the visual to support the audio. But it just makes it so flexible for people in various locations. And if they can't attend the live classes, we give them credit for doing the recorded course and then providing certain documentation so we know they've actually listened and not just said that they did. But it's ICF approved, and it's, thank you. Yeah, it just kind of flowed from there, and then just got out and kept sharing the message. It wasn't necessarily the most popular message to begin with career counselors, but I think we've kind of made peace now, and we know there's a place for both, and so they have a much more rigorous educational requirement than coaches do, but I think there's value in both approaches in different situations.
That's fantastic. Wow. I just love it again and again and again and again. You've seen opportunities and you've stepped up and you've taken them, and that's the essence of entrepreneurship, and
it is. Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely wonderful. So, I can hear that you've just been stellar in your career and being an entrepreneur and supporting other entrepreneurs. So what is it about entrepreneurs that, just you find so engaging that really, gets you? Can you identify what attracts you to this?
I don't know that I necessarily can, other than the fact that I know people who have the chutzpah, so to speak, to get out and actually start their own business have thought about, what do I really want to do while I'm here on this planet, and how do I want to make a difference, which many employees don't actually think too much about. They just sort of, what will pay the bills, and what am I good at, and I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, but if we were to survey a group of employees and a group of entrepreneurs, I'm confident that the entrepreneurs, a greater majority of them, would really have thought through what their purpose is and how to best put that out into the world. So that's one thing, and then just the quest for freedom and balance and quality of life that I see within that audience, I think, is the other part. So it's I like supporting that proactive thinking and those lofty goals and purpose. The whole idea of what is my life purpose was what really got me started on this whole journey. And it so happened it was shortly after that move to the small Central Oregon town, I started asking myself that question, why am I really here? And it was 18 years later before I could really say what my purpose was. But ever since that awareness came, right about the time I started my first business, it's just been a matter of staying on that track and carrying that out to the best of my ability. And of course now it's a fairly common thing, but it was really new when I first began teaching life purpose as a key to fulfillment.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what I see, and I'm going to ask you too, do you see more and more women joining the ranks of entrepreneurship? Do you see that happening quite a bit?
It's a tidal wave.
Kind of wondering what
it's absolutely a tidal wave because when I first got into the business, they were talking about how women were starting businesses at a rapid rate, but that was like a turtle's pace at this point compared to now, where we see 700,000 new businesses every month, I believe it is. coming out, and because of the internet, it's just allowed it to explode. Women starting businesses twice as often as men, and often they're balancing taking care of young children or ailing parents and need to find a way to earn a living that will give them more flexibility. That's part of it, and then just not wanting to deal with the stereotypes. I mean, I tried my best to make the legal profession my approach to it more holistic and teach employers how not to be sued, but the time they wanted to hire me was when they had been sued, so it just really didn't work because of human nature. And I just had to reach that point when it was like, rather than try to push this boulder uphill, I'm just going to chart my own course and go in a direction where I can be in a more positive energy more of the time, and that's served me well over the years.
Oh, that's great. I'm seeing a lot of encore entrepreneurs as well. This is kind of one of the market segments that I'm talking about with solopreneurs, because the age group-wise, the fastest growing group for starting businesses are people 50 plus. And, that's another huge population that is finding their entrepreneurial bent or, going that direction. And a lot of it has to do with people that need to supplement their retirement, and, they know stuff and they've got extra expertise that they can sell. They're saying, okay, I've worked for somebody else for 35 years. It's time for me to do what I really want to do. Or they're saying, I just want to do something because I'm energetic and, I'm still healthy and, I want to keep busy and I want to do something where I'm in charge of my own life. And, so there's lots of motivations that are, starting that age group looking at entrepreneurship, and people have been astounded of how many, are stepping forward. And as you've said, the internet has made having these little entrepreneurial businesses just be fabulous. And, where I'm talking about solopreneurship, that makes that model even more attractive, to that age group. It's really amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's been proven to keep people younger, to stay engaged in something that really matters to them. Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You stop. We're meant to be active, and, our mind's active, our body's active, the old use it or lose it. And, if you don't use it, it goes away. We don't want that.
Yeah.
So in 2013, you founded your Divine Gifts, helping entrepreneurs use business numerology to find and activate their divine gifts and talents. Can you talk about that? I don't know anything about business numerology and how it works.
Yes. I've actually explored a number of different spiritual tools over the years and studied with different teachers on different techniques and resources. And I remembered just over the last several years, back in my, 30s, being exposed to numerology, and that the 1 through 9 each had a meaning, and the person that introduced it to me was saying it had something to do with your birthday and your birth name, and I just couldn't remember any specifics. So I was just feeling led to explore that a little further. And the more I got into it and got completed a couple of different certifications in it, because I always believe in learning what I'm going to be teaching, making sure that I have a body of familiarity with what's best practices in that area and so on, and then I could take it and make my own thing with it after that. So I started looking at it, and it was just blowing my mind to look at my own chart and chart of family members, and I had the opportunity to have about, maybe 30 different practice clients come in through an event last year that one of my colleagues put on, and see the ahas that they had just at a personal level was amazing. And then I started looking at their business names and the timing of the different launches of programs and products, and how numerology could help to make that more favorable. And there were just a whole lot of implications there. So it's actually founded by Pythagoras way back BC, the mathematician.
Yes.
And he started realizing that each of the numbers had energy and beginning to posit what that might be. And then there was a lineage of women who brought it into the West and actually made it into a formal discipline. But no one had really written about it from the entrepreneur standpoint. So guess what? Of course, I had to do that. And so that was the other book that I released this year, was called Success by the Numbers. And it's a way of looking at your personal numbers as well as your what I call your inspired success path, and what that means for your business as far as what focus of business is really well suited to your soul's journey, and which tasks within the business are the ones that you should focus most of your energies on. Because none of us can do everything, and we shouldn't be doing everything. We know that, but sometimes it's hard to pick which of the things are in our genius zone personally, and which ones we should be delegating and outsourcing. And then in terms of actually rolling out new programs, or starting a new business, or wrapping up a business, or even when you get into relationships, and when you're more likely to meet a soulmate and that kind of thing. There's just a whole lot of insights that can come just from those two pieces of information: your birth date and your birth name. So I do individual readings, I do business readings, I do partner readings, and it generates a computer-generated report. But then I also use some of my own intuition and coaching and business background to fill in some of the gaps to show how that all fits together. And it just really is enlightening to people.
That's fantastic. Wow. I love the energy that you bring to this, Marcia, as well as the scope of your curiosity and your reach, so that you've gone out and you've found multiple approaches and tools and concepts and ideas to bring forth to the world, and you're modeling what you're talking about. You're modeling tuning in, finding the right place for yourself, writing, pursuing an idea, channeling what's coming to you, having the energy to create an entrepreneurial venture. And what a great thing that here you're living what you're teaching. And I think when you're on that kind of a path, you can't help but attract the positive things to you. That's just really wonderful. So this coming Saturday, you're the presenter of the Inspired Entrepreneurs Conference at the Portland Hilton. I feel very honored to be one of the speakers at that program, getting to talk about how to charge what you're worth. So talk about the conference. This is a really good time to tell our listeners, what is it, who's going to be presenting, who should come, and what can they expect about finding a day there.
Okay, yeah. It's another one of those stepping out in faith things that's really picked up its own momentum, and I'm very excited about it. It's just a one-day event on Saturday the 28th called the Inspired Entrepreneurs Conference. The details are at inspiredentrepreneursconference.com. And we've been blessed to have not only Jackie as a presenter, but 8 other workshop presenters on those topics she mentioned of marketing, money, and motivation. Each of the 3 workshop tracks will have a session on each of those topics. And then 3 very dynamic keynote speakers. Janet Atwood and I have gotten to be acquainted here over the last just few months, and twisted her arm to come. And she is the New York Times best-selling author and worldwide relatively famous, but I think not that well known in the Northwest from my experience just going around and talking with people. So this is going to be a real treat for us to get her more exposed in this area. The author of The Passion Test, and it'll be a 2-hour workshop at the end of the day where she will really help you get in touch with what your top priorities in life are and what will be most fulfilling for you to take your passion forward in the next 1 to 5 years. It's a brilliant and very simple but profound process. I've read her book and gone through it with her myself, so I am just very excited to share that. One of her mentors and mentor to other well-known transformational leaders is Deborah Kahneman, who is going to start our day, and she is someone who started out, was very famous, about to have her own television show right when I was beginning my business back in '86, and then she took some time out to raise her family, and it's now been back in the speaking market here for about 3 or 4 years, and she's just going like gangbusters, and very inspiring woman. And then our third keynote speaker is Kathleen Gage, who is from Eugene, actually, and she and I have been colleagues for a number of years, and she's just taken her business to a whole new level this past year. So she's going to talk about how to power up for profits. And so the ideal attendees for this event would be someone who has a business and you're really looking to up-level it, either expand your income, improve your sales, get another dose of inspiration if you've kind of gotten to a stuck place, or maybe the recession or some of the recent changes in the marketplace have got you kind of stymied in terms of what to do next. There'll be some dynamic things about social media, and how to charge what you're worth is what you'll be talking about, and then some other topics around money that will just help you get much more comfortable with that and master that part of your business so that you can stop letting that stand in your way. And maybe you see that, Jackie, with some of your clients, is it's
yes.
like they've got this, it's like they're so confined in such a small space because of what they're saying and how their relationship is with money that they'll just explode once they're finally free of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. They're in their own way. They're standing in their own way and
exactly.
blocking that flow of energy from coming to them. And
right.
I see that all the time. What sounds like a fabulous, fabulous day. I just can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to being part of it. So, again, people should come, are the entrepreneurs who want to, up-level your business. And,
right. And also those that just have an idea for a business and you're looking for some, to get our elbow to elbow with other business owners because we are a different breed.
Yes.
We are not don't think the same way that employees do, and so I have a few colleagues and friends that are coming that just are in that situation, and they want to see what this entrepreneur thing is all about. So
yes.
That'll be a good audience as well. And then even if, let's say, you feel like everything's flowing well, your marketing's working, you're charging nice fees, you're feeling engaged with your business, still come because there's never a time when we don't need new contacts for joint venture alliances. You may find that you want to align with one of the speakers to do a promotion coming up or something that your markets really nicely overlap. New prospects for your services. There's lots of different reasons to come to conferences. It's not just about the information. And even with the sessions, I don't know, I have this experience all the time. I'll go to a session on a topic that I have been exposed to or learned some about in the past, but there's usually at least one tip that I'll pick up that I didn't know, or an update or something that I wasn't aware of. So no wasted experiences, and this is just one of the most fruitful environments that you're going to find. So and if you're in this area and you haven't already signed up at InspiredEntrepreneursConference.com, you're going to be missing out this Saturday. You're going to feel like you got left behind. So I don't want that for you. I want you to really get in the midst of this mix, and I can already feel the energy of all these, primarily women and a few smart men that are going to be in the room together and just having a great time.
I told you, I'm really looking forward to it, and for all the reasons that you name, I love conferences. There's never been one that I've gone to that I haven't gotten some new ideas, and, hearing from other people, both in the audience and the speakers, they always get jog my mind, and I wind up taking notes and thinking about things and, coming back and developing a new plan or a new idea or a new product launch or, something new because I've been so inspired by what I've been doing. And I'm greatly, listeners, do this. I'm greatly looking forward to Saturday. I think it's going to be a huge amount of fun and very, very inspiring for all of us. So that's
and that's a really good point. Allie Brown, one of my early mentors, has said that she'd never gotten any of her best ideas sitting at her desk, and I totally agree with that.
Oh, yes.
There's something that happens when I go away. I'll just speak for myself right now, but I think it's fairly universal, where I'm sitting in a room with a lot of other like-minded people. I'm listening to an inspiring speaker, and so there's one channel of my mind that's hearing the information. There's a part of me that's aware of my surroundings and kind of who I want to get connected with next. And then there's a third channel. All this is going on at once, so maybe I'm crazy, but this is the way my mind works, that is receiving inspiration for those new ideas you were just talking about. And they wouldn't come to me unless I was in that room, but they have not necessarily anything to do with what's being said.
Right.
So
I think
put yourself in the environment where you can do the learning. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you stir the molecules or something,
yes.
and they bounce against each other in different ways, that don't happen, when you're on your path or you're sitting at your desk or you're doing your routine. And, when you get around strangers, different people who are speaking what you are thinking, but they use different terminology, maybe different phraseology, or maybe they've presented it in a different way, and it just sparks my imagination. And, off I go, and I just open up a whole new layer of ideas and approaches. And as I say, I love conferences. They always work for me. Even if it's not the topic I'm interested, I get new stuff out of them. So, again, listeners, I'm encouraging you to sign up for Saturday. It's going to be a wonderful day. So back to your businesses. I'm going to say plural businesses, Marcia. You're a solopreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so who do you target as your customers, and how do you find them? How do you help people find you?
Yeah, great question. And I almost said yes, but you heard me hesitate there. I am a solopreneur in the sense that I'm the 100% owner of my business, but I've never been without a team. The team has varied in size over the years, but within the first 90 days of Career Coach Institute, I had a part-time virtual assistant, and I encourage everyone to incorporate that into your planning, even before you think you can afford it, because the sooner you let go of those lower hourly rate fee tasks, the sooner you can concentrate on what will make you better, smarter, richer, to use your title. So that was just the first thing that came to mind. In terms of marketing, the Internet has been huge for me, and I happen to get onto it at a time and with a message that was unique, and we still, to this day, have paid very, very little for paid search for Career Coach Institute, because our organic results are on page 1, even now, 13 years later, of Google. So that was, I didn't realize what an advantage that was until I started working with clients that are doing things that were not necessarily as groundbreaking as that, but still that they wanted to get their rankings up. So there are a lot of new techniques, Facebook advertising, for example, that can get you in front of the right people for much more reasonable fees than we used to pay for pay-per-click. But frankly, the best thing that is going to position you as a thought leader out there in the world, that's the name of my #1 best-selling book last year, is Become an Inspirational Thought Leader, and it's the approach I use with all my high-end clients. And that is to get great content out on a consistent basis in multiple channels, and then continue to follow up with the leads that come from that. Make sure that when you're putting that content out there, that it gives them some place specific to go, a landing page perhaps, where they can receive a free gift. And so marketing is really, and selling is really easy when the people are coming to you because they heard about you. You got out there and spoke to one of the trade association groups that your market attends, and so you gather up those leads and then follow up with those folks as far as next steps, strategy session, or whatever it might be. It's a combination for sure. I've done a fair amount of live speaking, but I've done a whole lot more webinars and teleseminars over the last 13 years, and blogging and preview teleseminars on a probably bi-weekly basis for most of the last 13 years. There's one teleseminar or another coming up. And then, of course, live streaming is one of the new areas that I'm looking forward to getting into here in the next year, with the almost as good as live attendance at an event, but the next best thing we can do with technology. So not into that yet, but primarily it's just continuing to give people opportunities to sample what I do, to boil this down, and then to consistently follow up with people that have expressed interest. I do something that just made so much logical sense to me, and I understand that almost none of the Internet marketers do it, and that is to do follow-up calls or have one of my team members do follow-up calls to people that sign up for a preview. Like, They say they're interested, and they may or may not open your email. As I watch Infusionsoft and I see when people are actually opening the emails that I send out, it is sometimes days later. And I'm like, aren't they just sitting there at the computer waiting for my email to come through? No, they're not. They're busy. They've got other things going on in their life. So we need to get the personal touch back into business, I believe, because that's really where the relationships are built and the sales are made is when you get voice-to-voice or face-to-face with someone and you're able to actually explore their needs and match your services to their needs.
That's fantastic. So, Marcia, I'm just overwhelmingly impressed with what a leader you've been and a tireless advocate for those who want to find their way as an entrepreneur. So we have about 5 minutes left, and do you have some basic information for anyone, basic things they should do first for anyone planning to begin or expand their entrepreneurial venture right now, other than come Saturday?
Yeah, of course, coming Saturday is going to tap you into not only the programs that are presented, but also other resources. We have 20-plus exhibitors, and just the people that you meet in the room will have interesting things to offer. But in terms of just some ABCs, so to speak, I think in this market today, whenever you want to start a new brand, a new program, a new business, first really get clear on what is the change you want to make in the world as a result of that program. What do you want to see different, and for whom, and why are you the right person to make that change, to facilitate that change, to start that movement in a way. And then the mechanics of how to do that we can teach you. But you first need to really know what the essence of your business is. And so the story of your own experiences and what led you to become interested in this particular type of business or message or service or product needs to be at the core of your business. And as I'm moving forward, that's going to be one of the key threads that people will be hearing from me is the importance of your story and the relationship of that to your overall brand. Because the companies that lose their way, and I won't name the company, but it's a major high-tech company that's been around for decades now, that kind of lost its way for a while, was because they lost the story of the two guys starting the business in the garage and what they really were looking to accomplish. And so when the story goes away and big business takes over, it really, the dynamics change and it doesn't touch people in the same way. So sales are going to drop off. The emotions have to stay in business. And that's the part that seems to be the first to go when people start hiring coaches and trying to learn online marketing and what social media should I be doing and how do you do a launch, that kind of thing. It's like first connect to the person and really get the emotions in it, get your story in it, and that will keep people coming back. They'll buy what you want, and then they'll call you the next day and go, now what was that again? I know it really sounded cool, but I don't remember exactly. Am I going to a teleclass or am I attending an event or what am I doing? I just want to work with you, basically. So you want people to have kind of a love fest with your customers and really be able to have them be clamoring for what you offer because they resonate with it on an emotional level, and particularly with women as your customer base.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is really profound advice, not just good advice, but profound advice and very strong. So, Marcia, it's been great talking with you. And if some of our listeners are completely energized by our discussion today, and I can't imagine that they're not, how can they find you and learn more?
Thanks for asking that. My primary website is yourdivinegifts.com with an S on the end, yourdivinegifts.com. And there's a free report that you can download on how to activate and monetize your unique gifts. We have some upcoming complimentary webinars, and you can see the various books that I've mentioned there and a little bit about my story on the About page if you want to kind of review that in print again. And then, of course, some details. You can link through that website to the conference details as well. But that would be a way to get a hold of me, and there's a contact page there with phone number and an email address as well.
Fantastic. Well, listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this anywhere near as much as I have, and that if you have the opportunity at all, you'll come to the Inspired Entrepreneurs Conference on Saturday at the Hilton Hotel. It's all day. I expect that the whole hotel is just going to be buzzing with the excitement and the energy and the creativity and determination that gets unleashed at that conference, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So, and I want to remind you that this is Jackie B. Peterson. You're listening to us on Solo Pro Radio, and I'd love it if you'd take a moment and visit my website, bettersmarterricher.com. You can download the free ebook. You can sign up for my newsletter. And if you get the book, which I hope you will do, it as a workbook, and it outlines the principles that you need to follow to be financially successful as a solopreneur. And I did it in a workbook form so that you would take time, not just read it and put it aside, but take time to think about what are the underlying belief systems that are keeping you from the financial success you so much want and deserve. You can also get a demo of I've created an online support class for the study group course that we do, and you can pick up that free demo on the button under e-courses on my website. I look forward to having you tune in again next week. We're going to talk to another dynamic solopreneur. Her name is Davina Tauber, and Davina helps people with their writing issues. She's got her PhD in English from Rutgers, and she is helping a lot of graduate students and technical writers find their way and become clear to their audiences. Anyway, I hope you will tune in again next week and also come see us at the conference on Saturday. Thanks again, and tune in. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.